This is the Writers Podcast, a Writers After Dark radio production, bringing you the best in writing advice, news, trends, and interviews. Hosted by award-winning authors S.K. Anthony and Raymond Esposito.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Writers Podcast. I'm Raymond Esposito.
And I'm S.K. Anthony.
And today, this episode, we are going to talk about that crazy thing called NaNoWriMo.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know what NaNoWriMo is, if you live under the writer's rock, NaNoWriMo is short for National Novel Writing Month, and it's a worldwide event that goes on every year during the month of November. The participants are challenged to write 50,000 words of fiction in just 30 days, and that equals 1,667 words a day.
Oh, brother. If a writer asked me if they should participate in NaNoWriMo, I'm going to give that a hard no. I feel pretty passionately that the downsides, especially the psychological negatives, they far outweigh any benefit that someone's going to get from a month-long writing challenge.
Oh, come on. You know, writing is a lonely journey.
It's supposed to be.
Well, sure, but it's nice to have the support from other people who get writing, and, that can make a difference in motivation. It's great to meet and interact with other writers who can give and receive support from, bounce off ideas, and just enjoy that friendly competition to knock out that first draft.
Sure. Listen, I'm not arguing that if you think it's good and helpful to you, go ahead and do it. If you enjoy doing it, if you need that rah-rah, shish gamba support that you get on social media, have at it. It's a solitary sport, though. That's the way it works, and, we only watch you perform when you're done with it. I just believe that it's one of those things that sounds really good in theory, but whose real purpose is so focused on one part of the writing process that it serves far fewer writers than those who get involved. And I think people get so caught up in the bandwagon effect, they just think it's something they should do. And tonight, I just want to talk about the reasons, the legitimate reasons for those of us who don't do it, why it's okay not to do it.
Yeah, and I kind of, I stand with it. I think it's a good way of testing your limits, because I think that's the purpose of a challenge, right? To see how far your skills can take you.
I don't disagree with that. And a lot of things you're going to say tonight, I mean, I know your points and you know mine. And a lot of what you're going to say tonight, I'm going to go, yep, absolutely, good point. I'm just being the devil's advocate in terms of where it's kind of bad for you. And I think one of the problems is the outcome. And, there's plenty of great articles written about this topic, but I'll summarize it by saying that all the efforts that people make in this, they psychologically require some kind of return on investment. And a lot of agents will complain, a lot of publishers complain, Jesus, after this event, we just get these first drafts that people just think are good enough. And trust me, and I think everybody, regardless of what they think of their own work, everyone's going to agree when I say the last thing independent publishing needs is more bad first drafts masquerading as a finished product.
That's true. Your NaNoWriMo draft is going to suck. But you should know, that's what they say every time this is a first draft. And we all know that a well-developed novel takes a lot of time. And if you don't know that, you probably shouldn't be writing. But, for this 1 month, you're focused on writing quickly to get the gist of the story down and nothing more. And you're right, but at the same time, you shouldn't judge yourself too harshly and enjoy the freedom and pure joy of writing.
Yeah, and again, you shouldn't think, for all that effort you make, you shouldn't think that that thing is anywhere near good enough. With a quick, a couple quick revisions, I can get this out on Amazon or to a publisher by January.
Absolutely not. But what it does do, NaNoWriMo, it does help build a great writing habit. If you haven't been writing much recently, you've been stuck in a rut, or whatever the reason, NaNoWriMo is a great opportunity for you to establish a strong writing habit. It's supposed to keep you motivated and in some cases help you with discipline. Either way, writing consistently is the key to becoming a stronger writer.
So 2 points on that. I don't just based on authors that I've spoken to, my own experiences, right. I don't believe that the secret to resolving a writer's performance anxiety is a ticking clock in the background, whether that's 1,600 words a
But
day or 50,000 in a month.
okay, but a lot of writers do like to work under pressure. A lot of writers do. That's what we live by, sort of deadlines, right?
Sure.
If you are an independent author, maybe you don't. You can set your own deadlines, but that doesn't mean that you don't have one.
And
We're not basing that on you and me because we take forever. But
well, I also know that this is my personal writing style. NaNoWriMo is a marathon. It's a 30-day marathon, and I don't write like that. I write high intensity. I'll sit down on a Saturday and write 10,000 words and then not come back for 2 weeks. So I think for writers who work like that in bursts, it doesn't really fit into anything that we'd sign up for. But you mentioned the habit thing.
yeah.
In truth, to build any habit, you have to take 66 days. 66 days is what it takes mentally, psychologically to formulate a habit. So you're halfway there with, so you'd really have to continue through December in order to really build that habit. And I think that I would bet most writers, and I'm not going to generalize to all, but most writers who participate wind up with a zero-sum game. They work so hard over that month. They take time to recover, and the habit quickly, by the time the holidays are over, the habit's extinguished. So 30 days of pain for, I don't know what.
Well, to that point, you probably shouldn't confuse discipline with motivation anyway to get that habit going, right? The discipline of it and being motivated is absolutely different. The truth is you don't need Nano to write your novel or to stay motivated. If you want to have your habit, you can create it on your own. This is more about staying disciplined for 1 month, and you can write your novel at any time and at your own pace.
Motivation, it's an interesting choice of words. Do writers really need motivation to write? And
I guess it's more like inspiration, maybe.
yeah, and that's why I'm just not a fan of it. And again, I'm not bad-mouthing it for people who do like it. But okay, so you take the month and you live that dream of writing every day. Big deal. Next month, you're back to reality. And all you did was take a month full of throwing words on a page. But I think the bigger thing for me is even if you succeed in terms of a book, you got a real mess that you're going to spend several months cleaning up. And I don't know, I've never done it, but I would ask the question, how many people do that practice? And how much of those people who do it, what percentage of that actually winds up being salvageable, and what part just like, yeah, well, whatever, I did it, but I threw away, 70% of the story.
That's true. Well, I do that, but I do that regardless if I do Nano or not. Look, on that point, NaNoWriMo does help you focus on writing and stop the self-editing madness. Like, yes, you're going to have to edit after, but tell me how many writers don't you know, new and old, who don't get stuck to continue writing their drafts when they're just editing as they go.
Yeah.
Like, when you do that, you waste so much time perfecting something you're probably going to change anyway, like you said. And the time constraint on getting the words down helps you focus on just writing, and that is the goal after all.
On that point, I absolutely agree with you. I think that, what you said about getting over the internal editor, that is definitely one of the benefits of it, because we all struggle with that perfection. But then again, guys like Dean Koontz who don't leave the page until it's perfect, I don't think he's participating in NaNoWriMo, right? That's horrifying. And he already writes a ton of books. Yeah, there probably is some freedom to going back to being a freshman in high school the way we used to write then, which was just, we just wrote the damn thing. We didn't think about anything other than getting the story done.
Right. And going back to Koontz, who you said, writes a lot. Part of this is probably to get you, if you continue the habit and not just that month of November and you go to the 66 days or whatever it is. Writing quickly is an important skill for every writer. It helps you improve your writing skills. And I know it isn't just about, writing your 50,000 words. It's about practice. And as I keep saying, getting that first draft knocked out, but also it helps you sharpen your talents. The more you do it, the better you get.
Yeah, interesting, because I do, practice is definitely a secret to improvement, but there's also psychological studies that show doing something wrong builds bad habits, and we'll remember the wrong way to do it. So if you're taking a lot of shortcuts and doing sloppy work, you might be building the wrong kind of practice during that month. I think that's a small thing. Bigger to me is while I understand why they do it as this big to do, it's the wrong way to set a goal. First, it's kind of unrealistic in your everyday life. There aren't many of us, most of us have jobs, we have kids, we have other responsibilities. So we're not really going to ever be able to do this every day. And a bigger point is there is a theory in psychology that says announcing a goal is almost a perfect way to not achieve it. Your brain, and I think we've talked about this before, your brain hears it as I've accomplished it. It's something already done. So for me, that big goal of 50,000 words, I think I would support the idea of writing every day during the month of November, but not 50,000 words, not some arbitrary goal that somebody else came up with.
Oh goodness, there's so much I want to touch on that. I just don't want to.
Go ahead, monologue. I did
carry it on. But however, I'll just touch on the one that you're saying. As far as announcing it publicly, but it does help make you keep yourself accountable in public. For some people, having an audience can be all the incentive they need, like you said, to make them feel accomplished. But some people like to stand by their word. They say something and it's like a promise.
Yeah.
You know very well that I'm like that. So, which is why I never actually announce that I do Nano in case I fail.
So you're missing the whole point, which is the public announcement, right?
But
so I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to tell anyone.
I've done it officially and it worked out. And regardless.
But don't you?
Regardless, there is enough motivation just knowing someone is watching you work hard to get us 50,000 words down.
So that's the thing, though, that I'm watching on social media as this rolls out. And, we're recording this on day 10 of the month. And I'm seeing people who are far ahead of the goal, which means they're writing in greater bursts than they're focused on the 50,000 and they're focused on beating the clock.
Well, and maybe they're just setting up because they have to take the month of Thanksgiving off.
But that's the whole point, right? It's either a 50,000 word goal for the month or it's an everyday goal. I don't know. I haven't read the details, and maybe it doesn't matter, but we're also already seeing people who are failing. I mean, I saw someone who signed up and they said, I'm going to do it, and then they were gone for the weekend, and I'm thinking, well, how on earth are you going to be at a book signing all weekend and writing 1,600 words a day? I mean, maybe you can, but I bet you it didn't happen.
Well, it's less than 2,000 words a day, right? So if you just take 1 day or 2 days to sprint it out 10,000, you can catch up. It's not the same as that. I did want to touch on something else you had said earlier, the whole writing for a month and everything else. My question is, why not put your writing first? Make it a priority for a full month and see what happens. Personally, my writing always ends up in the back burner for tomorrow or later because so many other things, such as feeding my kids, comes first. It can just get really hard to find time. But, for this 1 month, you can make a commitment to put your writing first. Talk to your spouse, your significant other, somebody else to help you with the slack. Let your laundry pile up and just feed that passion. And if you've never done it before, why not see what all the fuss is about? I don't think you've even done it before.
No, and when I was looking at the points that you wanted to make earlier, this one I think is your smartest, best point, and I think that is the value of it. I don't know that you need a particular month to do it, but I absolutely agree with the premise of, hey, we put everything in front of our writing because we have lives.
Right.
Take a month and see what it feels like to truly arrange, you said let the laundry pile up, but to truly arrange your schedule so that this is the priority. It's not just about the laundry. It's and also shut off the TV and stop reading other people's books.
Yeah. Social media, all of that.
And all of that stuff. And literally say, I want to see if I'm going to see what my life looks like committing and making this the first thing that I do. I love that idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did that in a smaller way. You remember, I don't know if they even still do the A to Z blog thing in April. Is that still a thing?
Yeah, that's always a thing.
All right. So I don't know, because I don't follow the trends like that anymore, but I did that. And the year I signed up for it, unbeknownst to me, people pre-write that stuff. And I literally wrote, and you remember, I was writing,
I do.
Because I think it was on the 15th or 16th of April, you informed me that, dude, no, you should have pre-written this stuff in March. And I was literally sitting down every night, the night before, and writing the next day's post.
Which is fine, right? Yeah. It's a good way of getting it done and really practicing every day to do it. But I don't know, A to Z is kind of a little bit more in my head, a way of networking But I don't think A to Z necessarily qualifies
Well, that was the other thing I didn't know.
for as NaNoWriMo, because you're not supposed to pre-write anything either.
Right. But no, just to go back to that A to Z thing, because it was funny, because that was the other thing that you informed. And we had just, that was back years ago. We were just getting to know each other. And you're like,
Right.
this is about networking. I'm like, what do you mean it's about networking? You're supposed to go to other people's blogs. And I'm like, because I'm terrible at networking. I'm like, oh, really?
You were like, oh, I'm just writing every day and posting it, and and then I go on about my day.
I said, well, wait, how do I have time to do that? I got to write a blog and get it posted. And you're like, oh, okay, idiot. Hey, idiot, here's how it go. You pre-write the stuff in March, and then you post it, and you go socialize. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
So you bring the party favors. Got it.
I remember you were like, oh, no, well, writing every day works out because you get a lot of traffic coming back. I'm like, yes, because they're networking with you.
Yeah. They're going to leave you because you're not going and visiting theirs because you're writing the next blog.
But remember that feeling of community when people were coming to your blog, and then you did actually end up going back to visit other people too. There was a sense of community. Everybody, you're in the same boat, you're writing, you're feeling good about it. But that's the same thing that's happening with NaNoWriMo.
In a way, I mean, I think what was cool about the A to Z thing that is different is it was interesting to see what everybody wrote for X, right? Well, what are you putting down for, what are you doing with that letter? And we're not seeing people's, like, I would love to see NaNoWriMo as no, you have to post your words, what you write every day you post, so people can actually see what you're doing.
That would be cool, except you don't want anybody to steal your ideas. I think I forgot how the website works. I think you can share your stuff.
I just the other connection between A to Z and NaNoWriMo, and I accused you in the A to Z of being a cheater because you had pre-written. And
yes.
The thing about this is there are a lot of I don't like to use, I have no idea. There are writers out there who have already pre-written this work. They're saying their word counts because they already got the stuff done. They're basically cheating.
And that goes against what NaNoWriMo wants you to do anyway. That goes against the rules.
My point is, I don't like another system that makes writers feel bad about themselves. Listen, we struggle with enough fear of failure and anxiety. Don't compare yourself to anybody else in this contest, because you may be comparing yourself to the person who wrote that stuff over the past 6 months and is just looking like a superstar, because there's so many egos out there.
Yes, that goes against the rules and everything like that. The truth is that, yes, you could feel like it's a failure. If it's too much pressure, or you'll be crushed if you don't win, which, by the way, I guess if you could pre-write ahead of time and cheat that way, well, then I guess you could also say, well, yes, of course I wrote 50,000 words, and that could also not be true. But anyway, if you're going to be crushed if you don't win that 50,000 word badge, or if you feel it suppresses your creativity, by all means, don't feel forced. I'm talking to you, Raymond. Don't do it.
I don't.
Nano can be beneficial for a lot of writers, but I don't think it's right for everyone. Stick to your love of writing and feed your passion your way. Your reward is going to be your novel, no matter what month you write it in. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to touch on was, hey, you have that 1 month and you can try something new, a new style. It might be good to let go of outline if, write freely. It can help you grow as a writer if you try something completely new, anything. Write in a different POV, like a third POV if you always write first like myself. Write in the opposite gender, a different genre, just something new that can help you discover how deep your creativity can take you. I just say, Raymond, stand up to your fear and go for it. Try it, man.
I have a bad habit of any time I come out against something like this, next year I'll be the biggest fan of NaNoWriMo. I'll be like, yeah, I wrote 100,000 words this month. It was great. It's not really my thing, but it was really in the conversation that we've had about this. When you talked about really prioritizing, take a month and prioritize, make your writing first. That was something I hadn't thought about. I'm like, all right, so now I'm sort of warmed up to the idea. I would need you to carry and do podcasts by yourself for the month, because I would just be focused on that. So,
well, guess what we could do? We could do what we always do. We're going to pre-record it and have it ready. But hey, speaking of prioritizing, another way how it works. You and I have tried writing with Pomodoro. Set that timer for 25, 30 minutes, and we write, then we take a 5-minute break, and we go again. Knowing that the time is taken helps you get your idea done. And this is sort of the same, but it's just a whole month thing. there is some kind of psychological benefit to it in a weird way for some of us.
So you talked about you and I doing it, but to clarify, we actually did it together. So we were FaceTiming and we were there and we were setting the clock and thing. I had a problem with it because we were setting the time for like 20 minutes.
We were setting it for, yes,
20,
I think it's at
25 25 minutes.
It went way too fast for both of us.
Too short for me. And then, of course, we take that 5-minute break and we start chatting, and the 5-minute break can easily become 10 minutes in a shot. So
right. What happens is that you and I just we like the writing spurt.
Mm-hmm.
We don't like the whole just 1,667 words today and then you stop. And we like to write, hey, 1 weekend we'll write 10,000 words and we feel good about it. And then, 2 days later we'll do the same thing. And it's the same thing when it's a timer. I will write for 2-3 hours straight. I'll get a break for coffee or whatever and then continue. So yes, 20-25 minutes was just way too short for us.
And I don't have a problem. Like I understand what NaNoWriMo seeks to do, and that's to get you doing it every day and get you, forget about the revisions and the editing and stuff like that. But I really like my system, which is I write a chapter and then the next day, I write the next chapter and then I go back to the first chapter. So I'm always, I write, and then I go back one, and then I write a new one and I go back to the other one. That system really works for me. I'm really comfortable. I never get too far out ahead of myself. So
yeah, that's what keeps you from burning out, right?
Yeah, this system of just going straight through, I might wind up with 4 different books in that. You're a pantser, so maybe your particular style.
It works for me.
For a plotter, I don't know that it does, but
look, if you succeed, you're gonna have a manuscript that you can edit, and which might be the toughest part of writing. Once your creativity is out, you have to reel it in, and to me, that's not fun. To reel in and start editing and changing everything. I do enjoy the process of just letting it all out, and then
I love the idea, and I think if you follow the advice and you do it right, now I sound like I'm coming out for this thing, of really plotting, having your outline and having your notes, and yes, you could sit down and literally write that first draft straight through. Yeah. That's not real comfortable for me. I don't have an issue with writing a book in 3 months because that's about what it takes me to do a first draft with revisions before I hand it off to you. So, and I do all that in 3 months. It's never about the 3 months. It's which 3 months. It's the time in between the 3 months.
Right. Well, the thing is you have to figure out why you're really doing this. In your case, you could take that month, take that 50,000 words and make it more of a loose outline also. Like, you like to work on each chapter, 6,000 words and whatnot. Mm-hmm. That could just be it for you. But, if your November is already looking crazy, why are you going to do it? Mm-hmm. If you like to write slow and carefully, there's no reason for you to do it either, right? And if you're in the editing stage of a big project, don't even bother. Just focus. Yeah. Focus on what you need to do.
Yeah, I guess it works for some people. I just look at the chatting, the social media stuff and everything else, and it's like, I think it's cool that people are posting what they're doing and stuff, but I come back to this is a hermit sport. This is something like, yeah, you get involvement and you get community after you're done with something you want to show the world, whether that's your developmental editor, your editor, first readers or whatever, but it is just like we are hermits. That's what we do.
Right. But okay. And that's exactly another thing. It gets you that 1 month you get to be social and you get to be in the community, and then you get and everybody retreats into their little cave. And, I did want to say it's not just November. They have the nano camps, the month-long writing nano camps go through in April and July as well. Like we keep saying, it doesn't, if you're going to find it tough to write in any of these months, you're probably going to find it any month at all tough to write. Because the truth is you just have to make the attempt whenever you can.
I think the point you made that was just, and I'm just reiterating it because it's not other people getting in your way of writing regularly. We can say that, I've got I got a job and I got kids and I got things I got to do and I got a sick mom and this bad thing happened this weekend. Yeah, there's always an excuse not to write. There's always an excuse not to go to the gym. I've got great ones. If you need an excuse to not write or not go to the gym, give me, send me an email. I'll give you some great ones. You'll feel good about yourself. It's really about you. You choose to binge Stranger Things 2 rather than sit down and write your book.
But I needed to see
I did it too.
I needed to watch it.
It was inspirational.
It's inspiration, right. Exactly.
Put your writing first. Prioritize it. See if you really want to be a writer. You may have produced 5 books already, but ask yourself, do I really want to be a writer? Could I really do this every single day? And forget about, well, sure, if someone paid me to do it. No one's ever going to pay you to be a writer. So
right.
Do you love this enough to do it with the frequency that you do all your other bad habits?
That's true. I think, again, it's a good lesson. Yes, prioritize your writing. But I think we both made great points because you're right. There are some people who will make an announcement, feel good about it, and then they're done. We see that all the time in social media.
And we're making fun of you people. I just want, and let's be honest about that.
And we're making fun of ourselves too, because here we are talking about something we're not even doing, and I've done it before.
Yeah.
And
secretly.
Hey, and again, yes. And again, yes. Probably next April, we're going to see Raymond doing Nano.
Hey, listen, my whole goal tonight on this was I'm not doing it, and I was providing rationalizations for people who also choose not to do it. So I don't feel like a hypocrite in the points that I made because I don't do it, and here's the reasons why I don't. You, SK, should be ashamed of yourself.
I should be ashamed of myself. I did not sign up for it, and I do believe in it. I just haven't done it because that's exactly what I'm not doing. I am not prioritizing my writing, and I haven't done it in some time because, hey, my kids come first, and strangers too come after that. No. It's true. It's what happens. I don't necessarily have, the opportunity to get somebody else and say, hey, you watch the kids. My husband works, so I can't say, hey, take them to work with you while I write. Anyway, let us know your thoughts on NaNoWriMo.
And we'll leave you with this quote by NaNoWriMo.org.
Well, I'm not sure if it was by them, but I saw it on their website, and it said, had their website address on the little pictures.
So there's wait. There's just an example of why you'll never do NaNoWriMo. I just made a by them, and you had to go into a whole qualifier to make sure we weren't extending.
What if it wasn't them who said it?
Let's just is it on their website?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's a quote.
About
I'm more of a generalist. So here's a quote by NaNoWriMo.org's website, which says,
"You don't have to be mad to do this, but it helps."
Too funny. Too funny.
Thank you for listening to the Writers Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. For more articles, news, and advice, visit our website, writersafterdark.net, or follow us on Facebook and Twitter. The Writers Podcast is a Writers After Dark radio production. Executive producers SK Anthony and Raymond Esposito. Copyright 2017.